A couple of kilometers from the gate of the village hidden in the foliage, Kanahagakure. During the reign of the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju. Two young guys were having a conversation at the edge of the forest. Both were outrageously beautiful. One has long, waist-length, jet-black hair that probably didn't know what a comb was from birth. A little tough, but quite attractive facial features. Well, actually too attractive, the hard look of big black eyes that seemed to look into the very soul. The second one was very similar to him, but perhaps you can say a little nicer, and the facial features are softer. And the skin is paler than the first one. Madara, when are you going to get married? Hashirama has already got an heir, and you still haven't even found a girl. Izuna exclaimed. As you already understood, those two were Uchiha brothers from the main branch of the clan. Izuna, he raised his eyes to the sky, you know perfectly well, there is no such girl who can stand me. I no longer dream of one of the strongest kunoichi who will be able to give birth to my heir. There is no such girl, there simply does not exist. The thunderstorm of all shinobi smiled wryly and a little bitterly. And if you find it? The younger Uchiha asked softly. Well, maybe, he mumbled softly. Well, he won't say that he dreams of sincere love. No, just imagine what people will say, find out that the great and terrible Madara Uchiha wants real and sincere love. They'll die laughing. What? Brother? What are you thinking about? So, you agree, he looks withering at the great and terrible Madara, who behaved with his brother like a little child. What are you talking about? He looked at his beloved and brother uncomprehendingly. You agreed, the brother slyly squinted at the elder, that you will get married in 2 months. What? He exclaimed and jumped up from his seat. And he also promised to take care of the heir. Just now, the brother of the great and terrible ninja of all shinobi fled as best he could. What? The thunderstorm of all ninjas asked dumbfounded. That. Promised, now do it. He shouted, running away. And so every day, if you have a free minute. Madara dotes on her brother, loves him with every fiber of her soul. Even despite his precarious position in the clan, he swore that he would protect this headache from all dangers. After all, only Izuna tried to cheer him up after another session with his father. For Madara, this was the best moment in those days. But now, he is the head of the clan, and his brother has a grudge against him because he made peace with the Senju clan. With eternal enemies. Uchiha Madara knew that he could not cope with the whole clan. He knew that he would not keep the clan if he refused the head. And that could happen any day now. Maybe in a week, or maybe today, when he returns to the village. Madara does not know what to do after, because there will be no point in living in the village then. What will happen then? He didn't even want to think about it. Izuna became his joy and ray of light. And Hashirama also does a lot for him. These two amazing people mean a lot to him. He will certainly protect them, even at the cost of his life. Brother, Izuna cautiously approached the thoughtful man. What are you thinking about, But he was interrupted by an explosion that thundered nearby. The explosion was so powerful that the brothers were even confused and were incapacitated for 7 seconds. But then, pulling themselves together, they ran briskly to the scene. Soon the Senju brothers also arrived. Tobirama, as always, sneered contemptuously and wanted to ask what those two had done this time, but after seeing the same dumbfounded look of the Uchiha brothers and the Sharingan gaze that was directed at the epicenter of the explosion, he came to his senses. With the element of wind, having aired the crater from the explosion, everyone saw a wounded girl in orange. And she smelled of Kyubi chakra. Hashirama quickly overcame the distance between them, smartly began to treat the victim. The tailed man's chakra did not completely cure him, which surprised him unspeakably. Why is there another nine-tailed Jinchuriki here? The girl who appeared from nowhere was taken to the hospital. Naturally, she was being followed. Or rather, one of the most devoted Umbu Hokage was watching. And Hashirama himself looked after her health. It was all very suspicious. And so Konoha's precarious position can collapse on the spot because of a small mistake. Hours were replaced by hours, days by days. And the girl still did not come to her senses. Umbu and Hokage only looked at each other excitedly. They didn't know what to expect. After all, the girl had the strength on a par with the strength of the two most powerful ninjas of this world. Madara and harem. Even with the Kyubi chakra. But for some reason Hashirama was sure that this nine-tailed demon fox was not as aggressive as the one sealed in his wife. Almost a month of waiting has passed. And so, it seems like the most ordinary day began with the most ordinary morning. But for some reason, it was on this day that the girl woke up. Oh yes, the description. Long-haired blonde with sky-blue eyes. Her hair was gathered in two perky tails, and her bangs were up to her chin. She was wearing orange mini shorts and a sweatshirt of the same color. The sign of the Whirlpool clan was emblazoned on his shoulder. On his forehead was tied the sign of the village hidden in the foliage. But the problem was that such a sign was invented only a month and a half ago, and they haven't worn it on bandages yet. Everything was very strange. Madara and Hashirama went to find out everything. But as soon as the door to the blonde's room was opened, then, what the hell is going on here? Where am I? And why are you, whatever you are, the most alive of all the living? And where did all the Hokage's faces go? The girl was still concussed from the explosion of the campaign, as she abruptly pulled herself away and closed her mouth with her hands. Madara and Hashirama looked at each other in surprise. So, the guesses were correct, she is from the future. And they asked only one question, what's your name? Naruto Uzumaki. She mumbled. To see the first and very sweet Madara alive, she did not expect it in any way. Even in a dream. And here it is. He even looked at her appraisingly and smiled. Sincerely smiled, to be honest. Meanwhile, two strong ninjas almost fainted. But of course, the girl bearing the surname of the Uzumaki clan does not look like them at all. My mother was Uzumaki, and my father was Namikaze, the girl interrupted their friendly moo. Naruto Uzumaki means, the head of the Uchi clan said softly. Naruto Uzumaki was sitting in the hospital and remembered what happened before she saw Madara with Hashirama. And it was that she fought against the thunderstorm of all shinobi, with Madara. Naruto has already prepared her latest killing technique in order to defeat the enemy, namely, Madara. But according to the law of meanness, some fool stumbled on Naruto at the most inopportune moment. Naruto felt that someone was about to fall on her, but the technique required full concentration, otherwise an explosion would occur. Sasuke, who noticed that one Neto shinobi, tripped, falls straight to Naruto, ran to catch the unfortunate and at the same time save all the shinobi of the world. The guy had a rough idea of what kind of technique his partner was preparing and the damage, too, if everything was not under control. Naruto still did not have time to finish the technique that she came up with on the spot. And crashing to the ground with unfinished machinery, an explosion occurred. A huge column of fire stretched for tens of kilometers and engulfed everything in front of him with a bright red flame. The fourth managed to move the Shinobi Alliance, but Tobirama blundered. He did not have time to Naruto, so Kunoichi herself was the epicenter of the explosion that it was impossible to approach her in any way. And Naruto disappeared from this world along with Kurama. Their chakra ceased to be felt, as if they did not exist at all. Even the residual chakra has disappeared, which is very suspicious. The unfinished technique of the strongest kunoichi leaf and the whole world, too, became deadly and was listed as forbidden. The technique is not stable, suitable only for self-destruction, since no one could complete the technique even with theory. After the failed technique, Naruto dreamed of his mother, Kushina Uzumaki. Kunoichi did not understand the words she said at the beginning, but she realized that her mother only wished her happiness. And Naruto did not miss the way his mother slyly squinted at her. An unexpected meeting with her mother filled the girl with confidence that everything would be fine, while her body was floating in a white space. She was thinking, what would have happened if Madara and Hashirama had remained friends? But she would never know. But now the state of apathy passes, and with it comes the monstrous pain and the cry of kurama. Naruto, don't think about dying. We will still live. I'll cure you. The desperate cry of a furry red-haired friend sobered her up, and she began to comb the area. The sensor from it is certainly mediocre, but still the natural chakra and the kurama chakra give more opportunities. For strong shinobi were approaching her at great speed. But if she recognized 3 of them, she didn't recognize the 4th. One, who had the most chakras, began to treat the girl. The other 3 preferred not to interfere in the treatment procedure, but just stood nearby, not moving. And the most interesting thing is, why doesn't one of these 4 attack? And why does the chakra feel a little different here? And in general, where are all the shinobi of the alliance? And why is there no 3rd and father here? If the first 2 Hokage are here? These were the last thoughts before she fell into darkness. Naruto sometimes woke up and started looking for her friend's chakra, but all in vain. None of them were here. Madara was constantly watching her, probably changed into Umbu, Naruto thought. But nevertheless, Hashirama looked after her and constantly examined her condition. There was simply no strength to open her eyes, and Kurama rebuilt the body of her carrier so that even if she woke up, then until a certain time everyone would still think that the injured patient was sleeping and dreaming a 1000th dream, since Naru had not woken up yet. When Kurama fully recovered and is now again one of the strongest Biju in the world, she woke up that day, and Naruto too. Kyuubi's full recovery has affected the fact that his Jinchuriki is also now completely healthy and without injuries. The first thing she saw was a rock with Hokage faces and froze. And the thing was that there are no faces there. Emptiness. Absolute zero. Zero without a wand. And that was the last straw in the cup of patience. Not only does she know only 3 people in the village, she did not feel friends, so also this, in general, the duo of the strongest shinobi in the world caught Kunoichi at the moment of her tantrum at the zenith. Hashirama was surprised and smitten by the beauty of the girl, which he even had time to regret, since he was already a married man. And Madara is still looking at the girl with all her eyes. But most of all I paid attention to the girl's eyes. Like the sky on a cloudless sunny day. The sky-colored eyes of an unknown and even strange Uzumaki were simply mesmerizing. For the first time, Hashirama envied Madara that he was not married. But he quickly abandoned this case, and after all, his wife is a true Uzumaki, she will hit him like a frying pan on the head. Well, if you just pass out. Meanwhile, Naruto returned the cold mask to her face and began to analyze the situation in which she found herself. And she got there specifically. Unknown Konoha, unknown people. What would they do to her if they took her for a spy? How will she get out of it now? And most importantly, keep an eye on this Madara. Because of him, the world will suffer in the future and hundreds and thousands of shinobi will die. Because of him, darkness will come and the alliance will have to fight the monster. Even the 5 strongest Kage didn't defeat him. With such thoughts, the 9-tailed bearer burned through the thunderstorm of the entire shinobi world with her eyes. After being discharged from the hospital, I was immediately taken to the Hokage. Interrogation is our everything, everyone knows that. Suddenly an enemy shinobi is spying, therefore it is necessary to calculate it. Kunoichi bitterly grinned at these thoughts. The brand new Hokage residence was impressive. You wouldn't even think that she would stand for so long. Naruto was led along the old new road to the office of the head of the village Konohagakurosato. The village is hidden in the foliage. The most expensive village for her. So many memories. POV Naruto Uzumaki, Hunin knocked on the door and, having received permission, we entered the Hokage's office. In principle, everything is the same here as in my time, but now there is still the smell of a new building and it is natural that everything is new here. After Hashirama Senju nodded towards the door, the ninja who escorted me out the door, and we were left alone with the first one. Well, as in private, Madara is watching us on the ceiling. Do they think I'm not capable of feeling someone so close to me? Kurama in the subconscious quietly neighs from Madara. This is not what he expected to see, a thunderstorm of all shinobi in the form of Umbu. Well, I understand him. And I will not give offense to my impudent fluffy and impossibly red-haired friend. Ku was taken aback by my thoughts, but at the same time he purred quite a lot. No, look at you, the strongest demon in the world, Kyubi no Yoko, is rumbling. Purring. Well, anyway, who doesn't? Hello, Naruto. How are you feeling? Hokage smiled all over his face. And that smile was sincere. He reminds me very much of my childhood, when I smiled like that to everyone right and left. But then it passed and no one knows or sees my truly sincere feelings except for Ku. Hello, Hokage-sama. Thank you, I'm fine, that's good. Tell me about yourself. After all, how do we know you're not from here? Something I didn't like, the sly gleam in his eyes, and Madara moved a little closer. Naruto Uzumaki, 17 years old, shinobi rank S. There are no parents, they died protecting me from Kyubi. What village did you live in? The first one frowned. In the land of fire, as always, the cold gaze of heavenly eyes. Thanks to Sasuke for the lessons of arrogance and ice. Do you remember your parents? Do I remember? What year is it now? I'm also wondering what year it is now? I don't know, honestly, and moreover, I looked at the newly minted Hokage into the very depths of my eyes. That he was blown away later. Your birthday? I asked more calmly. Madara, on the other hand, was reaching down closer and closer, as if he couldn't hear. October 10, why don't you know what year it is today? Just because I wasn't interested. And yes, you repeat yourself, are you from the future? What are you driving at? The chakra is completely different and the Mito chakra is felt in it. Who are you really? Uzumaki Naruto, 17 years old, genin of the village hidden in the foliage, Konoha. My father is the fourth Hokage, Mother Haim of the Uzumaki clan. Jinchuriki Kyubi no Yoko. On the day I appeared with you, I fought with the Shinobi Alliance in the Fourth Shinobi War, but one oath fell on me and an incomplete technique killed me. And then I ended up here. Explains everything? A lot of things, Hashirama barely said. Anyway, I feel that you are not lying. Madara stared and is about to fall. Hokage-sama, can I ask you something? A sly look in the direction of Uchiha. Ask, of course. The head of the Senju clan smiled broadly. How do you tolerate this annoying overgrown cactus, besides a pompous turkey? It will fall soon and the crow will fly into your mouth. It's even disgusting to watch. I shouted, pointing up. Meanwhile, thunder rumbled from the ceiling. Really angry, ahaha. Jumping down, he was between me and Hashirama and stared at me with his red eyes. You turn off the flashlight, it is necessary to bring him to white heat, so I will find out faster what kind of person he is. And after the turn off the flashlight, he clenched his fists and, such a thirst for death began to emanate from him. Mom, did I overdo it? What will happen now? Hashirama. Something red and writhing flew into the office. like a demon from hell. And what's he in a bad mood about, honey? Nervous laughter. What are you doing here? Crack. Wow, that's a girl. As if she saw her mother. So this is Mito, probably. Hashirama, damn you, how many times can I tell you that you can't, do you hear? You can't do, and then they take me out of the office at a reactive speed. And in the armpits. Hey, sir. Did you wash today? If so, why do you stink like a flock of sheep? Madara was quietly furious that I was even afraid for him. Naruto Uzumaki. Oops, I think I'll have fun, huh? And Kurama was already lying on his back and laughing, although no, he is already laughing hysterically, probably there is no strength to laugh anymore. As I understand it. To see Madara completely different and funny. Ahaha, well, Konoha, I've come. Hold on, the fun will begin. Somewhere in the subconscious, one Red Fox was convulsing with laughter again, after the explosion and the discovery of a girl with a Kubi chakra in the explosion funnel. Hashirama and Madara had more worries, although if you think about it, Madara had twice as many. Since attention had to be paid to the whole clan, hostile to its head. The young Uchiha is already tired of smoothing the corners and doing everything the way the clan wants. But sometimes, Madara just wanted to leave the village and disappear from this world. To create a new, stronger clan and wipe the nose of the current one, but two reasons stopped him, Izuna and harem. And now there is still one harmful kunoichi, cold outside and the devil knows what inside, since the girl's actions do not suit her cold appearance at all. After a conversation with the Hokage, followed by a tactful retreat, Madara did not want to admit that he had shamefully run away from his friend's wife. Uchiha began to follow her. Hashirama was careful, although you wouldn't tell that from him. The presence of another Jinchuriki nine-tailed was alarming, even if he was from the future. To be honest, the strange blonde Uzumaki perfectly controlled her seal, and now she didn't stink at all with the tailed chakra. However, Madara could not understand why this Kubi is so kind, compared to the one that is sealed in Mito, but anyway, thanks to the control, Naruto gave nothing away that the tailed one was sealed in it. True, sometimes the pupil became oblong, but blue. Although it was rare to see it with a red tint. During surveillance, Madara noticed her rare emotions, except for her coolness when she was walking around the village. At these moments, Uchiha just went astral. The girl became so gorgeous that Mito was crying on the sidelines from his inferiority. But to tell the truth, Naruto is always cute, which Madara repeatedly noted to himself, and then frowned that he was angry and the thunderstorm of all shinobi could not admire the cuteness of some strange kunoichi. But he immediately defended himself from his conscience. Does he have a conscience? The fact that such a strong kunoichi has not yet met. And this is Madara? When two friends once again discussed a girl from the future, Hashirama noticed something new in his friend that had not been there before, but what exactly, Hokage could not yet understand himself. With each surveillance, it seemed to Madara that Naruto already knew about it, but as soon as Uchiha decides to get out of the way so that it would not be suspicious, the girl begins to behave carefree. He gets up at exactly the same time. He goes to training at exactly the same time. And the funny thing is, he doesn't show anything supernatural in training. Standard taijutsu and that's it. Which is clear, Naruto knows about the surveillance. Madara has never been able to see something beyond what simple techniques and training teach little future shinobi. A couple of times Uchiha noticed how Naruto specifically took him away from the Uchiha chatting with each other. 100 times she pierced in front of them, as if she did not accidentally find out everything, their minor but offensive offenses for the head of the Uchi. Madara became more and more convinced that Naruto knew everything that was going on in the village. Absolutely everything, but at the same time, Kunoichi behaved carefree, but one day everything fell into place after another clash between a girl from the future and the main forces of the Uchi clan. POV Uzumaki Naruto.at First glance, there is peace in the village. And at the second glance, the same happy and joyful villagers, so I did not delve into the essence. If I started digging around, would immediately be counted as a spy, and I don't need that yet. Well, it's not profitable at all, therefore, for everyone, I seem to be a carefree new kunoichi that joined the village of list. No one guessed that I had spies all over the village. I use shadow clones. Somewhere one clone turned into a cat, another into a dog or a fence. That's how I get all the information about the village. And I will tell you that not everything is as rosy as it may seem at first glance. The Uchiha clan worries me the most. They clearly want to get rid of both Madara and Izuna. And if because of this, the Uchiha clan disappears in the future, then I must prevent it, by all means. After a conversation with Hashirama, Madara-kun followed me, well, I like to call him that XD. Thanks to Kurama, I knew that Uchiha was watching me, but I didn't show it. Although sometimes she made it clear that he was a little more careful, because it was very noticeable. At such moments, Madara would move away and pretend that he was interested in the trinkets on the benches. The next, I didn't give up training, but I did the very minimum that they give at the academy. I didn't do this because Madara is watching me, and so that he knows all my techniques, although this is also. I was also followed by the Uchiha clan. That's what really alarmed me. Several times I caught several teachers talking, who were plotting against their head, who knows what. For the next month after the conversation with Hashirama, I collected information and drew conclusions. The situation in the village is very precarious. And all this is due to the fact that Tobirama, although with the best intentions, but without knowing it himself, was setting up the Uchiha clan against his head. And this is unacceptable. As I managed to understand, Madara is not so bad, in fact. His strength and power is something. I haven't met such shinobi yet. In some moments I even like him. But not about that now. Uchiha again decided to arrange a sneak Madara-kun, and it must be prevented. A bunch of strong Uchi ambushed in the place where the young head needed to go and inspect the territory. Of course, it was possible to send ordinary jonins or chunins. But Madara decided to unwind and went on a mission himself. I, without hesitation, set off ahead of him and turned into Uchiha. Since I spent a long time in the company of the head of the clan, I managed to study it well. And so, I'm walking through traps, thanks to Kurama, which even the most experienced shinobi would not be able to recognize. But the nine-tailed one studied these red-eyed people so much that he already felt them a mile away, as the great and terrible Kyubi put it, imperfections of child origin that even the most seedy student of the academy of the first year can easily recognize. I must admit, he surprised me. I've never given out such phrases, but here you are. My eyes were burning with red fire, though it wasn't Tomo Sharingan spinning in them, but Kurama's oblong pupil. He was having a lot of fun when he got into a fight with the Uchiha. And they were shocked that Madara-sama so easily won the strongest ninja in the clan after Madara and Izuna himself, but he still did not commit atrocities. Just in the end he knocked everyone down at once and examined them with a blood-red gaze so that everyone at once arranged a monthly Tsukiyomi. Here's a chicken, well, it gives. I already managed to get scared of his strength myself. And oh, yes, another such little thing. Kurama did all this with my and only my chakra. I didn't touch mine, so as not to burn down the conspiracy, and another such little thing. Madara managed to see it all with his own eyes. And now he knows how much my body is able to squeeze out of itself and not sweat, although this is nothing compared to when the awakened Uchiha saw me in the body of Madara. Since I hadn't managed to turn back yet, such a sacred horror froze on their faces that I managed to be afraid that they wouldn't get a heart attack. But when I still gave my hand with the sweetest smile to help them get up, everyone started having a friendly nervous tic. And at all Uchi, after I sent the unfinished kids, as the Honorable Kurama managed to put it, in a fit of laughter caused by the expressions of the ninja, and especially Madara, stopped supporting the technique and stared at Madara-kun. He calmly approached and said just one word, "Great." "Thank you, Madara-kun," I smiled slightly. "Kun?" A nervous tic seized one of the representatives of the great clan again. "Have you ever been addressed like that? Or is everyone afraid?" "Well, yes, you're right," Madara answered, thoughtfully looking at the clouds. Did Nara take the habit from this representative, or was it Madara who met the worthy Nara that he captured his habit? Riddle. We need to decide. The task is completed, we can return to the village. How do you know about the assignment? Shinobi is all gathered. I don't answer questions whose answers are already obvious. Naruto, you, after beating the babies, and there is no other way to call it, Naruto sealed the Uchiha traitors in a scroll and returned to the village with Madara. Without hesitation, she immediately went to the Hokage. The villagers, seeing them together, were a little surprised. After all, there was not yet that girl who, next to the head of the Uchi, would be able to walk calmly and, moreover, so relaxed. Naruto herself, without any interest, looked at others. She didn't give a damn about all their thoughts and stuff. Naruto is no longer the naive fool that once tried to please everyone in a row. Now her willpower has become stronger than before, and she has stopped behaving like a juvenile since the very day when the distribution took place. Madara was glowing like a new light bulb. He has already cursed the whole shinobi world for the 100th time that he is playing so brazenly with his fate. The only girl that he likes, Py.Sy, still admitted to himself in this glimpse of HD, does not pay attention to him. No, she's talking to him, joking. But he doesn't show any feelings. The red-haired flea only laughed at the Uchiha. He saw his throwing, but he didn't say a word to his bearer. The Hokage building around the corner appeared unexpectedly. Rather, our couple reached the residence. With a kick opening the door, Madara, approximate, author, I'm shocked, why didn't I open Naru like that? Approximate, Naru, yes, because I didn't have time. Approximate, author, then it's clear, HD, immediately threw a scroll with Uchiha in Tobaram's face. Naruto looked at Madara-kun and was surprised by his actions. What does that mean? Senju Jr. was surprised. That's what it means. You hate us, Uchiha, Tobarama. Here I provide for torture. Find out who pushed them to kill the head of the clan. He flinched at the mention of murder, but quickly pulled himself together. POV Naruto Uzumaki. I've been following Tobarama unnoticed, and there's something I don't like about his reaction and actions. It's like they've been replaced. But the chakra and everything else is the same for the albino. Let's wait for now. He also seems like a strange type to me. I think the teacher noticed it, as well as the firebrand, Kurama said. A firebrand? I wonder if he christened Hashirama like that? Hey, first, give me a task outside the village, I began, and noticed how the albino's eyes lit up in anticipation. Come on, for me too. Seeing the sour faces of the villagers has already become routine. They run to the toilet at the sight of me. Wow, he takes everything so close. Seriously? I'm surprised. Don't worry, Dara-kun. They'll change their minds about you yet. I dodged the first slap on the back of the head. I didn't have time to do the second one, and after releasing the chakra a little, I put a block on it. Madara, who did not expect such a dirty trick from me, was slammed into the wall by his own blow. Bugagaga, and I didn't even notice that I used a mirror blow with amplification. I still got the assignment, but I'm being sent with this Uchiha-kun to the land of the whirlpool, to get acquainted, or rather to convey a letter from the beloved wife of the first Hokage. The gnashing of Madara's teeth was probably heard throughout the village. And Kurama laughed at the guy that, like, there is no more humiliating for the thunderstorm of all shinobi than the task of taking the letter of his wife to her father, the second thunderstorm of all shinobi in the world. Anyway, the plan worked, and the false vampire was on our tail. It was a little difficult to twist and seal Zetsu, and it was exactly him, but the two of us coped. And Tobirama-san woke up as if from a week's sleep. After discussing the details of the task and discussing everything, Senju Jr. went back towards the village, and we also went in the direction of Uzushio. On the third day, we walked a third of the way and stopped for a rest, to discuss further action, how we would behave in the whirlpool. Madara made a bonfire, and I put up a barrier that does not let through and does not show what is happening inside. Uchiha was surprised, but he didn't show it. I sat cross-legged on the other side of the fire and stared at the play of flames. "Aren't you afraid of me?" Madara suddenly said, stating this fact rather than asking. "I don't see the point. We are all human and we are all mortal." My answer satisfied him, to which the man nodded in agreement. "And how is it there?" "Lives and thrives," colorlessly answered his mute question about the village in the future. After all, I was sent to the past. Maybe I need to change something. "You're not afraid of me, but you're always watching my actions, as if you want to prevent something," Madara began calmly. "You know, Uchiha, my voice did not portend anything good. There, in the future, you will come to us, you will be revived, and you, like the most finished psycho, will declare war on the whole shinobi world. We will fight against you, united." The voice began to tremble. "My friends will die there, dying by your hand. I fought against you, and the last technique killed me, sending me here. If you were in my place, what would you do?" I couldn't help myself. Kurama began to envelop with warmth and care, and I, hugging my knees, stared at the fire again and did not utter any more words. Madara, on the other hand, was sitting in shock from the last words I uttered and could not say anything. It was as if his soul had been taken out and returned to its place. And when he saw the blonde girl's eyes glistening with tears, he frowned and said just one word, "I'm sorry." And so, Darakun and I are dragging a scarlet-haired monster with us to the village of the whirlpool. That is, Madara is dragging him. Oh, by the way, he has a gag in his mouth so that he doesn't yell that his hair was dusting the ground. Well, there's nothing we can do. Madara refused to help in any way and simply gagged the Uzumaki representative with an ordinary gag. Uchiha himself is almost 2 meters tall, and here he drags a bully with a 2-meter-long hair on his back. Ah, black envy eats away. Well, how did we get to all this? And it all started with the fact that to us, Uchiha and I decided to collect our belongings to move on, since it's already morning. A few seconds later, the Sharingan bearer is attacked by a red-haired guy, and they start hitting each other. I am perfectly aware of who it may be. I stand quietly and look at this peacock dance. Calmly I come closer, I give both of them a slap on the back of the head. By the way, Madara dodged and looked at me in bewilderment, and I went on. While Uzumaki was rubbing his bruised head, I had a good blow. Uchiha twisted him and tied him up, and now we are stomping into the village of the whirlpool with such a beautiful cargo. Ah, the hair, wipe your snot, or you'll drown us. Dara-kun grinned when I once again examined the scarlet hair with an appraising look. To which the owner of this very hair was indignant and furiously fought in the hands of Madara. Shut up already, Pimple. It seems that someone's ribs have cracked there. Welcome to Uzushigakure no Sato, one of the elders of the Uzumaki clan greeted us. Good day, elders Uzushio. Together with Uchiha we bowed. That fellow with the gorgeous hair was dragged away, put in order, and now he is with all of us here. Look how cute he pouted. Kurama fell out in a drop. I hope he didn't fall in love with him there, because really such a milaha. Uchiha snorted in Yuchihovsky, to which I squeaked like Sasuke. The answer was honored with a strange look from the elders and the Uchiha himself. And so, officially, you came to deliver a letter to Mito-chan to her father, to which we nodded, and the unofficial part? Here they are already staring at me questioningly, apparently everyone feels it. And Madara also raised his perfect eyebrow gracefully. My name is Naruto Uzumaki, and everything turned out that I came from the future. The elders jumped up from their seats, Mina-san also dropped his jaw indecently. So it's all true. So we are going to die in the future, the oldest of them all rather asserted. His name is Akihiro Uzumaki. Did you know? I was surprised. Yes, we were given a prediction. That maybe some very strange Uzumaki from the future will come to us, but it may not come. If he doesn't come, then we wouldn't have long to live. It's discouraging. The strangeness of the situation made me a little tensed. What do you suggest? Mina, who had been silent before, asked. To which Madara snorted. I suggest the whole clan secretly move to Konoha. Uchiha choked on air, the elders stared, and Mina so completely precipitated so much that just the chair disappeared from under him. Wait, what's that ash over there? Well, Madara, well, a smart ass, we need to think about everything. But before I make a decision, I have to take a look at your memory. Completely, every part. I don't mind. You can start, she agreed immediately. It will be easier to explain this way. Akihiro folded a series of 37 seals with lightning speed and touched my forehead. My whole life flew before my eyes. How I was beaten up as a child, how I got into the academy. I was on the 7th team. My whole life in 5 minutes. It seemed that the brain was about to explode, and Akihiro-san was standing as if nothing had happened. The Fourth World War, right? He said in a hoarse voice, yes. There I was killed by my own technique. Don't ever use it again. You would have died even if you had used it successfully. What? But why and how? This is classified information, available only as the harem of the clan. And you're not harem yet. Do you want to make me your harem? I'm freaking out at the end. In general, yes, we do. In Konoha, we must somehow compete with other clans. Yes, no one will be able to compete with you there. Uchiha suddenly snorted. Uchiha, Akihiro gave Madara a contemptuous look. If at least one hair falls from my great-granddaughter, then it's better to kill yourself right away. Madara swallowed and took a step back from the key that appeared, which emanated from Akihiro. Are you my great-grandfather? How did you know that? From your memory, my girl, from your memory. Now you have a family. By the way, this blockhead, he pointed to Mina, who was still looking at me with a dazed look, is your uncle. And then Uchiha could not stand it and burst out laughing, such a sincere and pure laugh. I even admired it. He's so handsome when he laughs like that. Okay, Naruto, stop. You're not thinking about that. Put that pink thing away in the dark and don't pull it out. Okay, let's rest. We're going to have a very difficult day tomorrow. Thank you, Grandpa. Why do you call me Grandpa? Akihiro was so surprised that he didn't notice how his long hair remained locked by the door. And I like it better this way. The solar miracle giggled. Well, okay. Uzumaki screamed, what kind of censorship? Locked up, powerful censorship with the mention of all sorts of bijou about kinship with the ancestors of the rapist. My hair is a 9-story mat with a foundation of kinship with Satan. Naruto went into a drop. Uchiha took off with the rest of the clan members away from that enraged Uzumaki. And only one red-haired scoundrel in the notorious subconscious was laughing loudly. Darakuen was found very quickly. In the most unexpected place, on my futon. Scram to yourself, I'm going to sleep. You need to, you go. And I'm great here, the Uchiha representative snorted, and chuckled at my indescribable reaction. without ceremony, just slowly began to undress, seducing the guy. Men, they are men in the sun, you can't trample against nature. Already someone has the call of nature in defiance of his mind. Ahem, Uchiha coughed, and also blushed. What? Am I bothering you? I said languidly and went on the offensive, and Naruto, stop, the voice trembled, but he did not look away from my sixth size, henge, but in vain. Uchiha, I said in Mito's voice. I also attached a henge, ah. Madara ran out shouting, accompanying his escape with a multi-story construction of a mat that is not transferable. There was always some kind of impudent fox face, which had some kind of red demon in its ancestors, who led one prodigal girl with golden hair along a winding road. I wonder who he's talking about. All this time Kurama sat and did not move, exactly until the moment when the door closed behind Uchiha. And that's when he started rolling on the floor in a wild razak. Uchiha, the great and terrible, was afraid of the call of nature. Ahaha. No, Uzumaki, did you see his face? Have you seen it? Yeah, he wanted to possess me, I noticed, she calmly replied and was about to get dressed at last. I want to sleep incredibly. Reading memory just finished me off today, both mentally and physically. Okay, Fleabag, don't get bored there, I'm going to sleep. And the same to you, a trifle. Big guy. Monkey, and you're a poop. Kurama already slipped out of the blue. Am I a poop? HRMF. HRR, well, you'll regret it, the fox smiled ominously, rubbing his paws contentedly. POV Madara Uchiha, somehow I don't really trust these red-haired devils. Moreover, we are on their territory, and they can do whatever they want with us. Therefore, without thinking for a long time, I went into our Uzumaki's room and lay down on the bed. Admittedly, this Akihiro is very strong, and it's better not to anger him. Naruto did not take long to wait, coming a couple of minutes after me. Scram to yourself, I'm going to sleep, Uzumaki waved away. That's her very wrong, I don't like it when they talk to me like that. You need to, you go. And I'm great here, too. He lay down comfortably on her futon and then it started like this. Kami-sama, am I dreaming? Give me strength. For if I do it now, this grandfather of hers will send me to the pure world. Insidious Kunoichi. He knows, after all, that I can throw away my skates and tries, so, it's not even a shame. She doesn't even blush. Kami-sama, ahem, Naruto, stop, the traitor, my voice still trembled, Uchiha, yes damn. I can't hold back right now and right here. No, don't think about it. We need to get out faster. This insidious seductress also turned into Mito? No. Save me, just not this fight, woman. I never thought that I would run away from a girl who seduces me shamefully and screaming. So, I didn't run away, I just tactfully retreated, yes, but I still have a problem. We need to get into a cold shower faster. Kami-sama, what kind of devil have you given me? She is just a storehouse of explosive seals, you will never understand at what moment she will explode. But Naruto is pretty damn good looking. And she will definitely be mine. And then I remembered her grandfather again. I feel that my life is starting to be sweet, considering that these devils will now move to Konoha. POV Uzumaki Naruto. The morning started with Uchiha Madara, yeah. And why is he so sleepy? Huge bruises under his eyes, as if he fought to the last grain of chakra and didn't eat anything for 2 weeks. Good morning, Dara, Kun, I stretched sweetly on the futon. The sixth size was dispelled yesterday, now I have my own third size. So that you have everything the same as I have, Uchiha drawled sarcastically. What, are you sleeping sweetly? Were there any bedbugs on the futon? Have you got any rats in the room? That's what it is, that you have a beautiful morning, this cocoon of discontent puffed up. I'm sorry, but you're so cute when you're being mean, I giggled and smiled. Okay, live, and this shaggy monster got up and walked away. And I have a keen desire to torment these black patches, Madara, wait. What else? What a disgruntled, however, sorry about yesterday. Let me get your hair in order. I came up to him almost closely and touched his hair, to which Madara twitched, but still did not wriggle out. I allow it, well, for sure, he feels like a king here, and I'm a servant here, I'll be grateful, otherwise I decided to cut them off completely. I couldn't comb it after today's stormy night with animals. It's all your grandpa, I know that, Madara, if you cut off your hair, I won't have anything to do with you anymore. I love long hair. Sit on the futon, I'll get it combed. Okay, I get it. Madara's hair was truly silky, but how these tangles could form, I have no idea. Uchiha almost purred from the buzz. Kurama gave advice on how to take revenge on Madara with the help of hair, to which I replied that hair is sacred. And what would the fox himself do if someone did something to his fur? To which he snorted and said that he would eat it, having chewed it many times first. Naruto-chan, you would. Uncle Mina came in without knocking on the door and saw a beautiful picture. A girl with loose hair the color of the sun, smiling, combs the hair of a raven-black guy. But this raven is one of the strongest ninjas. Everyone knows that representatives of the Uchiha clan do not allow anyone to touch their hair. They consider it an insult. And if someone allows you to touch them, so also comb them. In general, Mina decided not to interrupt this touching picture and quietly went back out. Well, he definitely likes the way these two look. Although at first this type was unbearable. I'm telling you that there should be another seal here, Madara, you are a fool, the very blockhead. Who uses such a seal in the fire technique? I am Uzumaki. That's how I see it. She folded a series of seals and shouted, the element of fire, toasting the UCHIKHOVSKOYZADNITSYNODZYUTSO. And right under the fifth point, a fireball exploded. How did it come to this? It's pretty simple. Only one very world-famous Uchiha and one of the most extraordinary Uzumaki from all over the world decided to argue whose technique is cooler when using different seals of the same technique. And, by the way, all this happened at the most prominent Konoha training ground. That is, almost the whole village saw them. The couple argued for an hour and could not come to a compromise. And when the people were already crowded, Naruto freaked out and used her fire technique on the representatives of the Uchiha clan after all. Moreover, within a radius of 100 meters, all the Uchi were bombed under the fifth point, but Madara got the most of all, since he was at the epicenter of the use of technology. It's not fatal, and there are no wounds, just everyone is covered with ash, and there are no burns even. The technique of mass destruction Uchi, ahaha, someone laughed, but quickly shut up, as he met the gaze of the one who has now activated this technique. Do you want to experience it for yourself? And Uzumaki's look was so promising that I involuntarily wanted to dig in. Well? What did I say? It worked, this demoness grinned cheekily. Naruto Uzumaki. Madara shouted so that all the Uchiha fled from the training ground, and not only the Uchiha, but Madara was left alone there. She's great for you, isn't she, brother? I haven't met such a girl yet. Izuna Uchiha laughed unculturally at his own brother. Yes, I will soon become gray with her. Have you seen this fiend? She's the devil in a skirt. She's wearing shorts, Izuna corrected him cheerfully. Yes, in general, there is nothing, but the fact itself. Well, it's not like he's bombing it, he's outraged. Madara, admit it, you like her. And then Izuna started dodging the fireballs. What, the ass is not burnt, and are you satisfied? Madara sneered and hit his brother. After all, you're a big fat pain in the ass, get up. What's the news? The elder Uchiha went to the side of the stream to wash himself from this shame. Naruto helped you a lot, shaking himself off. Izuna followed, simultaneously studying his brother for falling in love. In what way exactly? The clan. What is it this time? This Naruto drives them into fear. Actually, today she almost finished them off with her technique. That was the calculation. So you deliberately staged a performance? The younger Uchiha was surprised. Not really, we planned something completely different, but suddenly she started arguing and dragging me into the wilds in the technique of fire and took on weakly. She really is a devil, hehe. Izuna smiled broadly at his brother. No one has been able to pull out as many emotions from the horror of shinobi as Naruto managed in such a short time. The Uchiha brothers returned to their quarter and were about to enter the mansion when they were stopped by one of the elders of the clan. Good afternoon, Madara-sama, Izuna-san. Can I talk to you? The Uchiha looked at each other and nodded imperceptibly to each other. Face to face, I suppose? That's right, Uchiha Dano. Come with us. The elderly Uchiha followed the brothers into the living room. Madara set up an impenetrable barrier, which surprised the elder. Uzumaki taught, explained the head of the clan. That's how it is. Amazing. What did you want to talk about? I came to tell you that your connection with this strange Uzumaki has strengthened your position among half of the clan. I assume you are aware of the precarious position you were in. Why are you telling all this? Uchiha frowned. About what you have to. I don't owe anyone anything. If that's all, get out of my mansion, now, but I just wanted to say, out. And don't let me hear anything more about Naruto. Please, elder, let's go, our esteemed head is not in a good mood right now, Izuna said with a smile. But I just wanted to. Let me listen to you, and then I'll tell my brother everything, Izuna soothed the elder, simultaneously taking her away from Madara. But I only wanted to. Madara had a nervous tick in both eyes from the old woman, and he was about to knock over a chair on her, but Izuna managed to take the old woman away. For a long time, in silence, thinking about further actions, Madara did not have time to come to his senses. As the door opened abruptly and Uzumaki's bright head poked out. Are you cold? Are you ready to compete now? She asked cheerfully. What competition? Madara did not understand. How to what? Uzumaki pouted, in eating ramen. You said yourself that if I succeed, then you are ready to fulfill one of my wishes. When did I say that? There is no time to explain, we need to run faster. Grabbing Uchiha by the hand, Naruto ran towards Ichiraka Ramen. Yes, even now there is this place. No matter how much Uchiha wanted to detach his hand from the girl's tenacious hands, nothing came out. And everyone who got in their way shied away. And how can you not shy away? Some brazen kunoichi is towing one of the most dangerous shinobi in the village. Everyone shies away from him, not a single girl wants to communicate with him or even come close, simply because they are scared to death of him. And here some unknown girl is dragging the horror of the whole people in an unknown direction. And the most interesting thing, Madara doesn't even try to break free, only makes pathetic attempts. We're here, come on, don't shout. Uchiha cleared his ear. Okay, don't be angry. Whoever eats more portions will win. And the loser fulfills the winner's wish. Okay. The surrounding people twirled their finger and were about to turn around and leave, when they heard the most unexpected answer in their life. Come on. If you lose, you will be completely mine. He loomed over the girl. Oh, what are you saying? Uzumaki was confused. You will say the same, hehe. And in general, move away. You're standing too close to me. Am I embarrassing you? Madara, you stink of sweat, Uzumaki said in a loud whisper so that everyone could hear. The surrounding people are in a drop, and Madara himself turned gray from surprise and just wanted to slap one notorious Uzumaki on the back of the head. As Naruto changed the subject, we have 10 servings of ramen, by. How much? What, chickened out? No way, that's great. Let's go. Kami-sama, what did I just sign up for? Madara thought resignedly and, taking the chopsticks, began to devour the most disgusting dish for him. Do you think everything is as good as it really seems to us? So I think that's not how it is. And why? Yes, because until I started actively communicating with one Uchiha, all the girls in love with him were afraid to admit it. And now, probably, the whole Konoha hears the gnashing of Madara's teeth, when another little girl, stuttering very much and blushing worse than Hinata, confessed her love to our horror shinobi. This bitch, yes, bitch, ordered me not to get into her love. And that if he sees me with him again, I will have huge problems. And she, by the way, has more power than I do. Although it's still necessary to argue, because Uzumaki now live in Konoha. And I am the true representative of this mighty clan. What are you thinking about, Naruto-chan, grandfather? Uzumaki turned to the voice, just like that, I want to swat one piglet. Don't frown. Now she will get what she deserves, and Akihiro smiled impudently, seeing the picture of how that FIFA, by the way, that's her name, touched his hair. And at that moment two things happened. First, Kunai nailed the girl's hand to a tree. Second, Madara grabbed her by the neck and lifted her up so that FIFA was in the air like a rag doll. The girl tried to remove Uchiha's hand, but where there, he is the strongest shinobi. Only Hashirama-san is stronger than him, never. Don't dare touch hair. Uchi. Especially mine, Uchiha said angrily and threw the girl away like a garbage bag. Tough, Naruto whistled. And why did you throw kunai? Akihiro Uzumaki smiled slyly. It seemed to you, she puffed out her cheeks. Well, Uzumaki Sr. giggled, well, why are you doing this to her? She's actually the daughter of the daimyo of the Iron Country. What should we do now? Hashirama didn't yell, didn't rage, but his every word, like a blade, left a wound. But he doesn't even seem to be angry. But the feeling is rotten. Without thinking twice, I just hid behind Madara's back. He expectedly squeaked and turned away from me. And I imperceptibly began to weave pigtails with bows. Don't ask me where I got the bows, I don't know myself. This went on for about an hour, until this lady ran in a rage. I demand this bitch immediately, and then she fell silent. Everyone looked around in bewilderment. And eventually her gaze settled on me. And what do I have to do with it? And that's when Madara noticed that his hair is a solid tangle of braids. FIFA enthusiastically gasped that Naruto was about to fly in from Madara. Hashirama, in the Rukalitsu pose, floated under his desk, twitching strangely. And Uchiha kept squinting at his braids and slowly blushing. I am this. Well, what's convenient, I like it, the Uchiha squeezed out and turned to the exit with a stony face. The truth is still red for some reason. Either out of anger, or out of embarrassment, when the door slammed behind him, FIFA indecently pointed her bandaged hand at me. What is it again? Execute, really, Hokage-sama, if you do not follow my order at the same time, then you, in the office, a murderous ki suddenly began to be clearly felt, directly pressing. An unprepared shinobi could even faint from an overdose. But the Hokage's hand trembled. Naruto remained calm. And FIFA? Well, she fainted. Who's rolling a barrel on my husband here? Yes, exactly, Mito Uzumaki showed her face. And everyone, without exception, knew what her temper was. Naruto and FIFA, who recovered very quickly from the same pressing force of Uzumaki, quickly disappeared from the Hokage's office, leaving the Scarlet Devil in the care of Senju. Listen, why did you calmly braid Uchiha's braids, and he was almost ready to kill me. I don't know. Don't mess with him, I won't repeat it again. Yes, who are you? Naruto Uzumaki, in the Uchiha clan. As always, gloomy silence reigned. Madara would like to get rid of all this, but he has no idea how to do it. Now the girls also stopped avoiding him, everyone confessed to him in great feelings and love until death. But they were driven only by power. How tired of all this Uchiha. While he was lost in his thoughts, he literally noticed a familiar blonde hair out of the corner of his eye. Hiding his chakra completely, Madara followed Uzumaki. And one bright head, Tobirama, was still watching the Uchiha. After wandering a few blocks, Naruto went into an abandoned Uchiha building. As it turned out, there she had, a meeting from the Uchi clan. Madara swore like a shoemaker. Tobirama grunted at his words, but Naruto gathered the whole clan for a reason. She's up to something. Only Madara wanted to tear everyone to pieces, as one Uchiha loudly exclaimed, Madara-sama doesn't like pink. Yes, be quiet. The blonde shushed the dark-haired one. This will make it even more interesting, are you sure? One of the Uchiha drawled doubtfully. Exactly, Naruto smiled broadly in response to, and maybe we should also add blue color? It will look very cool. Another Uchiha happily stretched out, to which all those present fell into a precipitate did I say something wrong? The black-eyed ninja was surprised. Well, how would it be? Mika, and Darakuen what, 4 boys? Naruto looked at her strangely. But no, then we won't add blue color. Part of the Uchiha clan talked loudly about this and that, not even suspecting that they were being overheard. Madara and Tobirama sat rooted to the spot and did not understand what they were whispering about so selflessly that they did not even see the spies. At another joyful exclamation, Miko Madara could not stand it and entered this meeting, which consisted of Uchi and one Uzumaki. There was some kind of sugar plan on the table. But he didn't have time to take a closer look, as the plan disappeared, and the friendly squeal of the Uchi girls stunned him. Let's go. We've been discovered. Hooligans deprive of sight. Help. Naruto yelled the most and drove the others away from the secret place, which was no longer such. Tobirama dropped his pompous face into his hands and quietly shook. He laughed sincerely and without concealment. Senju has never had so much fun. After all, what has just happened is simply unreal. To see such a Madara, who was stunned by his own clan. And what stunned? Screams, if you tell someone, I'll kill them without a twinge of conscience. Uchiha looked at Senju and disappeared in Shunshin. For the next week, Madara caught the studying glances of the inhabitants of the village of Konoha. The blonde beast was always slipping away from him somewhere, referring to a difficult mission that took place in the village itself. Madara couldn't understand what kind of difficult mission this was. But the most shocking thing was that the Uchiha seemed to have gone crazy. Izuna could no longer restrain the pressure of Madara's opposition. The clan fell apart into 2 parts. The first part supports the head as a leader, mostly young and girls, and the other tried to deprive the post of the head of the clan. Madara Uchiha was slowly going berserk, and with every bad news in the house there was less and less furniture from his rage. Behind all this, Madara did not even notice how his birthday came. December 24th is Uchiha's birthday. And the first thing Madara realized when he woke up was the perfect silence. There was not a single living soul and chakra in the quarter, as if everyone had disappeared at once, which a priori could not be, unless he had overslept a brutal massacre and everyone was simply cut out. The second thing that the head of the Uchiha clan noticed was that he was completely naked. That's what he didn't understand most of all, how he ended up so undressed as he is now, because he had never slept like this. The third thing that Uchiha noticed was that Izuna did not come to congratulate him. Usually a brother would break into his older brother's room at the crack of dawn and strangle him in the arms of brotherly love, but he was not there. This is a fact. This morning at Madara's is not the kindest, as, indeed, all the others. But this is already crossing absolutely all boundaries. What really shocked me was the disappearance of absolutely all the clothes in the house. And the strangest thing is that Madara could not use the transformation technique, and indeed, any other technique other than his eyes. It was as if his chakra hearth was blocked, and while he was examining his mansion in a negligee for items of clothing, Madara noticed a golden hair on the door handle in his room, and it immediately became clear why all this was happening. Naruto, she is the only one who can safely walk around his mansion without fear of consequences, which surprises everyone very much. Having come up with nothing better, Uchiha just lay back on his bed and waited for at least something. Without hiding, by the way, 20 minutes later, the door to the room of the head of the Uchiha opened and Naruto came in. Well, who would doubt, Would you at least cover yourself up? The girl screamed from the nakedness of the Uchiha, throwing clothes at him, and slipped out of the room at the first cosmic speed. Madara sat and did not move, he was so disoriented. Is this the reaction you wanted to hear from me? Naruto grinned, brazenly sticking her head into the room. By the way, and you have nothing, so, meaningfully honored the guy with a compliment and left the room until her spine was broken. Naruto. From the scream of Uchiha, the girl almost slipped when she escaped from the mansion. Having finally dressed in festive attire, Madara was able to go out into the world. When he had already closed the doors of the house and turned back to the street, he almost dropped his jaw into Tartarus. And why? Because almost the entire Uchiha clan gathered in front of his mansion, elegant and festive. They smile at the head and show in every way that they love him. In the very center stood a lone blonde, Uzumaki. Naruto was also wearing a festive kimono, and in her hand she had a cake with 2 candles, 2 and 1. Happy birthday, Dara-kun. May all your most cherished wishes come true. The strange kunoichi was picked up by everyone else, loudly shouting congratulations in one voice, as if they were rehearsing. Or maybe they were rehearsing, who knows? Uchiha Madara still couldn't figure out how Naruto could pull it off, but absolutely the whole village was congratulating him on his birthday today. Most of all, the Uzumaki clan was pleased, that's what, and their arsenal of weapons. It can be said, the legend is simple, although it was clear that the villagers were afraid of Madara himself, but, despite their fears, they congratulated him. They congratulated me especially briskly when Naruto appeared next to me and chirped something in Uchiha's ear. The fear of all shinobi noticed every detail, but was very confused and glad about what happened today. He is definitely happy about what is happening, and, most likely, a certain blonde kunoichi leaf put her paws here. Receiving attentions and receiving congratulations all day is a bit tedious, but Uchiha endured everything. In the end, they didn't talk to him at all before, but were simply afraid to even approach. After sunset, Naruto took Madara to the Hokage rock and, smiling with all 32 teeth, handed Uchiha a firework. Why? It's your birthday today. You just have to launch at least one firework. This blonde beast smiled mysteriously. Is there a catch buried here? Uchiha squinted suspiciously. No, today there are no jokes and tricks, today only everything is for you. At the last phrase Naruto blushed, which did not hide from Uchiha. And he still launched it with his element. Realizing that he could use the chakra again, Madara slyly squinted at Uzumaki. At that moment, Uchiha's fireworks lit up the sky with an unusually beautiful pattern of lights, to which even the head of the clan froze from this miracle. A couple of seconds later, the sky exploded from a dozen more fireworks, and at the very end the images of the lights merged into one huge phrase in the night sky: Happy birthday, Madara. Along with the inscription, the whole village shouted this congratulation. You know, it would be appropriate if the birthday was yours, but not mine. Uchiha snorted. Well, how can I tell you? Uzumaki chuckled suspiciously, and maybe in the future we will suddenly change the gender. And you will be a girl, well, and I, in turn, the most gorgeous guy in the shinobi world." Kunoichi giggled while Uchiha digested everything the girl said, while the meaning reached him and while he wanted to catch and punish her. Naruto quickly turned up next to him and kissed the guy on the cheek. "Happy birthday, Darakun," and smiled. "Naruto, you are unbearable." Uchiha chuckled, grabbing Uzumaki in a tight embrace. "Thank you." And also kissed the girl on the cheek, and a shadow clone of Naruto was sitting in the bushes nearby and taking pictures of this couple. The clone, however, for some reason had red hair and red eyes with a vertical pupil. The stripes on the cheeks were very thick. And most importantly, the clone's smile was as if the nine-tailed demon himself had possessed him. While Naruto Uzumaki was sleeping peacefully in her apartment, her clone walked around the village early in the morning like a madman. Why, you ask? Probably because he suspiciously glued something on almost every house, but in such a way that almost no one noticed his presence. Early in the morning, Madara, after his eventful birthday, stomped to the Hokage residence. At the entrance, he bumped into Naruto, who, without even noticing him, ran away all in tears. "Naruto." He decided to call her, but he heard only one thing. "You're infuriating, Uchiha." "I hate it." Madara, who did not understand anything, put his hand into his hair and scratched his head in shock. The tangled hair was even more disheveled than it had ever been. Not understanding anything, the head of the Uchiha clan went to Hashirama's office. He was found on the spot and sat down with his head down. "Hey, what's wrong with you?" Uchiha asked suspiciously. She's. "The demon, who are you talking about? This Uzumaki will bring me to my grave soon." Hashirama, sobbing, clung to his friend's clothes. "Hey! Pull yourself together, rag. Damn, how infuriating. What didn't you have time to share with Naruto, eh?" "Naruto?" Suddenly Senju stopped whining. "What about her? Aren't you because of Naruto?" "No, I'm talking about my wife, actually." Has Hiram sat down in his place and stared at the door in a strange way. "Wasn't it Naruto who ran out of your residence in tears?" Uchiha asked suspiciously. "What?" "Yes." Then Mito left, slamming the door loudly and throwing lightning from her eyes, threatening to kill me. "I haven't seen Naruto at all since last night. It's strange, but I saw Naruto run out, pushing me at the same time so that I even flew a meter away from her. You can't even tell, because she looks so fragile. I know for sure that Mito came out of my office." The Hokage looked at his friend thoughtfully. "And I'm sure Naruto pushed me." The second one thought. The strongest shinobi in the world thought about one problem and were so deep in their thoughts that they did not notice how someone entered the office. "Madara. Talk some sense into your brother, damn him." Tobirama was standing in the office, all red as a crab, either from embarrassment, or from rage, or perhaps even both combined. "Wait, Tobirama, what happened to you?" Suspicion in this office is already off the scale. Simply. "Like what?" "He used some kind of technique and right before our eyes turned into." Here he blushed even more, into, "Yes, tell me already, the girl, and then what?" Madara asked ingratiatingly, realizing that he would not like what he would hear next. Tobirama blushed again, covered his eyes with his hands and said quietly, "He began to seduce me in the image of a girl. And there was nothing on her. What the mother gave birth to. Snuggled up to me, with his chest. So. Izuna. My brother. Turned into a girl before your eyes? Do you believe it yourself?" "Yes, my eyes don't lie to me." Tobirama turned around and left, slamming the door loudly. Madara and Hashirama were disoriented. After a couple of minutes, the door opened again, and Tobirama Senju entered the Hokage's office, as if he hadn't been hysterical for a few minutes. He was looking through some papers on the move and, stopping at one of them, wanted to ask, "Brother? Uchiha? What's the matter with you?" Senju Jr. stared suspiciously at those present. They looked at him as if Tobirama was dancing a striptease right now. "Friend, do you see what I see now?" "Yeah," the other one replied in a slow voice, and then two things happen. Uchiha Izuna, red as a crab, flies into the room. Madara and Hashirama prepared for defense, because in Izuna's eyes the Mangekai Sharingan was spinning, and he was ready to tear and throw everything around, and then the door to the office opens again, and Naruto comes in slowly, like a snail, as if she had just been woken up. There is a pasta factory on her hair, circles under her eyes from lack of sleep, the Konoha emblem somehow put on, and most importantly, she went to sleep standing up. There was just an unreal ringing silence in the office, you could even touch it, this silence. Well? Why was that called at the crack of dawn? Uzumaki asked rudely. Who called you? Madara cautiously inquired, realizing that the hell is going on here, and if you don't figure it out now, it will happen all the time. And who could have called me to the Hokage's office, Tebeo? So, I've had enough, what's going on here anyway? No one understood who shouted it, but absolutely everyone agreed with him. So, let's start from the beginning, Tobirama said slowly. I was sitting in the office in the evening and sorting out papers. I go to my brother, and people look at me strangely, as if they saw a ghost. I mean, you were sitting in the office? Where were you half an hour ago? Izuna asked strangely, looking him straight in the eyes inquisitively. We are also interested. I repeat for the particularly deaf, I was in my office sorting out papers. So it wasn't Tobirama. Hashirama and both Uchiha exclaimed in chorus, what do you mean? Senju Jr. squinted suspiciously. Well, about half an hour ago, when I was walking to the residence, you ran straight at me. I didn't even have time to understand anything when we were already lying in the dust. More precisely, Izuna blushed, Madara and Hashirama already began to understand what happened next. My brother used jutsu and turned into a version of a girl, snuggled up to you, groped you and seduced you in every possible way. What? Probably the whole village heard Tobirama's question. How did you guess? Izuna asked, red as a tomato. Probably because 10 minutes ago, Tobirama breaks in here and yells at me to slow you down. Izuna, Uchiha could no longer suppress the laughter bursting out. And Hashirama was already suspiciously sliding under his desk, his shoulders shaking strangely. And why? Probably because you molested Tobirama in her mother's clothes, in the image of a girl. Molested, seduced. Should I continue? And no, and so, has anyone else seen something strange? Tobirama asked. Well, if only with Naruto. When I already came in here, she ran out all in tears, with red eyes, and, what eyes? Naruto asked quietly, standing silently to the side, and listening to all this nonsense. With red eyes, with such? Naruto used her clone henge, which changed when a fox moved in there, yes. And if you think about it, Tobirama also had vertical pupils. Madara looked at Senju strangely. I also saw vertical ones, but I didn't even think anything about it. While the guys were further noticing the little details of the jokes they were involved in, Naruto was quietly going berserk. And at that very moment, an explosion occurred over Konoha. It was so huge that it could lift the whole village into the air, but the explosion was in the atmosphere. Although whether the explosion, everyone was waiting for something, but when the haze fell off, a huge clear illusion appeared instead, where Naruto kissed Uchiha Madara at fireworks. Well, the fur rug, well, wait, the hair slowly rose into the air and divided into 9 strands, like foxtails, somewhere deep in the subconscious, the collection of surprised reactions of the most famous shinobi of the world collected during the day brought a smile to the ears of the fox. Happy as a cat who had eaten too much sour cream, the redhead was not even upset by the fact that his loin began to itch. But this is not for good, I am infinitely sorry, but I write only with inspiration. Smiley face. Oh, yes, in this chapter there is a scene of violence, blood, guts, ahem. After finishing this chapter, I realized one very important thing. I don't know how to describe battles at all. I'm really sorry. Also, fan fiction is approaching its logical conclusion, and after a couple of chapters, or maybe 3 chapters, the work will be transferred to the status completed. Thank you all for your attention. Smiley face. I am really very happy to see so many readers of my humble work, and it makes me happy. Smiley face. Naruto and Madara, for you a mission of SS rank. You must disarm the bandits who have settled in one of the villages of the Land of Fire. They are very strong. Move out immediately. There is, and, guys. Be careful and come back alive. Hashirama's voice faltered, but he clearly understood that only this couple had a chance of successfully completing the mission. Any other squad or team just can't handle it. After receiving all the details of the mission, Uchiha and Uzumaki immediately went to the exit of the village. They understood how difficult this mission would be, and what consequences rash actions could lead to. In the evening, when it was almost impossible to run, the couple set up camp. While Uchiha was preparing a place to sleep, Uzumaki was putting up a 3-layer barrier. Uchiha also set traps around the camp. There was no point in being on duty. Both of them will need strength, so we decided to put up several more barriers, soundproof and concealing, so that no one sees that someone is inside the barrier. Come here, Uchiha suddenly quietly suggested. But are you sure? It will be warmer this way, and we won't freeze. After all, it's not summer in the yard. Come here. Uchiha patted the futon. Okay. As soon as Uzumaki settled down next to her, but as far away as the futon allowed, Uchiha simply hugged the girl to him, hugging her. He covered them both with a blanket and fell silent. Naruto was afraid to move. After all, this is Madara. Uchiha, even though he is no longer the same as she remembered him, resurrected in the 4th World War shinobi. Relax, you're too tense. Relax here, the blonde muttered and did what Uchiha did not expect. She comfortably rested her head on Madara's shoulder and almost breathed into the guy's neck. Now you're tense. Is something wrong? Uzumaki asked slyly, carefully hiding her malice. Are you kidding me? Uchiha asked gloomily. Is it noticeable? She smiled. Naruto, relax. Let's go to sleep. Tomorrow we have a very difficult day. Uchiha had nothing to add here, because tomorrow really promised to be difficult. Good night, Naru. Uchiha gently touched the top of the girl's head with his lips, so much so that Naruto didn't even feel it. Both fell asleep, warm and comfortable, hugging each other like a cute couple. Morning came unexpectedly. Uchiha woke up from the fact that it was a little difficult for him to breathe. Opening his eyes, he saw on his chest the light crown of his partner for this mission. Also, this devil hugged him with her arms and legs. And she smiled blissfully, repeating one phrase. Sasuke, leave me alone. Naturally Madara heard it and was angry. But I didn't jump to conclusions in a hurry. Who is Sasuke? Kakashi, sensei. Well, 5 more minutes. I'll get up in 10 minutes, Uzumaki muttered under her breath, but Uchiha's hearing was excellent. Which one should I kill first? Madara asked. Izunushka, this imp suddenly drawled. Come on, Izunana, let's give this to Dara. Koen? What do you mean? He doesn't like pink. So will by mother of pearl. No? Okay, that's it. Get up, you freak. A person who does not like pink could not stand it. Eh? What? Where? Who? Naruto jumped up so that she drove over Uchiha's chin. Itatatata. Damn, it hurts. And am I made of iron? Uchiha was indignant. Hearing his question, Naruto for some reason looked at the Uchiha stomach, and then shifted her gaze to what is located below the abdomen. Hey! What did you think of that for? Where are you looking? Uchiha blushed. Or maybe you want to evaluate. Suddenly the thunderstorm of all shinobi narrowed his eyes slyly. P.F. Come on, it's time for us to move out. Uchiha bit his tongue not to laugh, but his shoulders were still shaking, giving Madara away. But, despite all his efforts, a log from the campfire flew into his forehead. So now there was a hefty bump on Uchiha's forehead, also marked with charcoal, and also burned. The guys reached the mission site by noon. The village was surrounded by a fence, and ninjas in strange attire stood at the posts. While they were watching, a farmer calmly entered the village. Pretend to be ordinary residents? Good idea. I am your husband. We are going to the land of springs and decided to take a break from the road in this village. Okay. Naruto moved away from the surveillance site and began to change into a long kimono. Although it was not combat, it was convenient enough for combat. All the seals were removed and sealed in the girl's earring. No one will guess that such a small trinket can be stamped with a huge seal. Now Naruto really looked like an ordinary girl from the village. Loose hair and a blue kimono made an incredibly beautiful girl out of Uzumaki, but at the same time, quite ordinary. Madara also dressed in a black kimono that Naruto gave him. A couple of them came out beautiful, as if they were made for each other. It wouldn't hurt to rehearse a little, Madara mused. It's not worth it, they see us in the village as a couple anyway. It's okay, just look at me with loving eyes and drive all the suitors away from me, the blonde beast cheekily said. He pulled the girl to him and led her towards the village. Less words, more business. Who are they? The guard near the village asked sternly. I am Arada Chizu, and my wife's name is Ran. Meanwhile, the guy pressed the frightened girl closer to him, calming her and stroking her head. Where are you going? We were going to the country of hot springs, the guy said softly, sighing. Okay, come on in, the guard chuckled knowingly. The couple did not expect any other answer, but, nevertheless, they were glad that they managed to enter the village without any problems. Madara and Naruto headed towards the hotel in order to quickly disappear from the eyes of the population. It was too easy, don't you think? Naruto frowned when she locked the door and had already put up a barrier. Maybe we played perfectly. By the way, I liked the way you snuggled up to me. Can we do it again? Uchiha stared impudently, appraising the girl. You'll get over it. Uzumaki chuckled and calmly walked past the guy. I have a plan for how we will deal with all this, but it all depends on the number of clones that you can make without harming yourself. A couple thousand, she chuckled. How much do you need? Uchiha hung up, realizing that the girl was not lying. 100 is quite enough. Okay, what's the plan? It's tempestuous to spend the night in this room. Madara smiled ominously. It suits me. Uzumaki returned the smile. Before evening, Madara and Naruto made a plan to eliminate the enemy shinobi in this village. There were at least a couple hundred of them, and they were all strong, but not as strong as Madara or Hashirama. And with them, Naruto now. But, as they say, quantity sometimes also decides its role. As soon as the lanterns on the streets lit up, Naruto created 2 clones, turning one of them into a copy of Madara, who chuckled and already cheered up from the coming situation. Naruto, on the other hand, could not help but pour a spoonful of tar into Madara's mouthful of honey, and the Uchiha clone began to undress first, simultaneously entertaining the second with a striptease. Hey, that's not fair. He was genuinely indignant. It's fair, let's go, these clones will have fun without us. Well, you broke it off, the Uchiha said annoyingly, and the lovers' play began behind their backs. Getting out of the hotel unnoticed was easy for capable ninjas like this couple. Eliminating the guards at the gate is a matter of a couple of seconds. Before killing the latter, Madara read all the information about the village with the help of his eyes. We have 2 ways out. After a couple of minutes Madara sighed heavily, carefully looking at the girl. which ones? Having withstood the thoughtful look of her partner, Naruto calmly asked, understanding what he was driving at. Either start cutting quietly, and we are unlikely to have time before dawn, or we break into the headquarters through the main door and kill everyone. The locals are no longer here, Naruto, they are all being held in a dungeon deep below. If there was another partner who would make noise and attract attention, another partner, you say? Naruto thoughtfully folded the seal of shadow cloning. One shadow clone? Naruto, don't be stupid, Uchiha frowned, examining the clone standing with his eyes closed. What's wrong with me? Suddenly opening his eyes, the clone asked in an afterlife growling voice, flashing scarlet eyes. Naruto? Uchiha looked at his partner in bewilderment. Red scarf, come on, your hour of reckoning has come for what you did recently, Naruto said ominously. I will kill every enemy of yours with pleasure, Naru-chan. The Naruto clone snarled maliciously. Madara involuntarily took a step back, realizing who was standing in front of him now. And Naruto herself seemed to have switched something. Now she looked like a real Uchiha, except for the color of her eyes and hair. Cold calculation in the eyes, a murderous aura, as if a cheerful girl wasn't standing here 5 minutes ago. Give me 6 minutes, Uchiha, I'll prepare a scroll. The voice remained the same emotionless. For what? Madara asked mechanically, also unconsciously concentrating on the upcoming hot battle. When I release the fox, I am left without his powers and most of his chakra. I'm giving him complete freedom, so I need clones in natural energy mode. Without saying anything else, Naruto sat down in the lotus position, as did 2 more of her clones, but, unlike the latter, the orange makeup of the original appeared first. I'm ready. Naruto stood up, flashing toad eyes in the dark. Madara only nodded, examining his partner and realizing that she now looks practically the same as Hashirama. And it feels the same as Senju. Hermit mode? Like Hashirama, yes. Let's go. Without saying anything else, the two instantly disappeared into the semi-darkness of the streets of the local village. While the pair of ninjas were heading towards the headquarters, the fox began to act. He created a mini Bijadama and fired horizontally along the path that the partners were running. A siren wailed and people in red uniforms began to appear out of nowhere. Shall we play, little men? The chicken's neck cracked. To the first opponent with the element of fire, Biju simply broke his neck, and at the same time synchronously kicked the second enemy ninja so that he broke through the wall of a brick house. I wonder, if I fight like the granddaughter of that idiot Hashirama, what will become of the little men? Kurama thoughtfully concentrated his chakra on his fist and beat off the next attacker. Oh, I think I overdid it. The fox was embarrassed, seeing how the bloody pieces together with the air demolished 7 houses. Okay, it's time to rattle old bones. Although this is the body of the same carrier. I'm talking a lot. Then the 9-tailed man killed in silence. Sharp, precise and fast. But he was in no hurry, stretching the pleasure. He's a demon after all. Dozens of corpses were already lying behind him. Dozens were burned by spontaneous attacks, a few more just crumbled from experimental blows, but in the end, the fox spat on these crazy blows of Tsunade. After all, when blood and scraps are flying at you, it's not aesthetically pleasing. While a fierce battle was being fought upstairs, Madara and Naruto infiltrated the bandits' headquarters. What are the underground floors? How long have they been rummaging around here? The soil is relatively fresh. A maximum of a week has passed since we did all this. I think they have a very strong warrior who owns the earth element, Uchiha said thoughtfully. The clones have found the prisoners. Half of them, what? There are Uchiha, Naruto said quietly. Experiments were put on them, they were studied. Madara gritted his teeth and sighed noisily. How much longer will the fox rage? He finished, brought all the pawns to the surface, and now he's having fun and experimenting. then let's go. We reached the lowest level in 10 minutes. There were over 70 floors. The headquarters was spiral-shaped. Along the way, there were weak shinobi who just fell on the move, not noticing anything around. But when Konoha's ninja had already reached the last floor, and you are smart, however, the voice was full of fun, despair and faith, finally came the one with whom I dreamed of fighting for a very long time, a savory right hook, seasoned with natural energy, sent the merry fellow flying, which quickly ended with the wall stopping him. Oh, and I don't know you, the madman groaned, getting to his feet and setting his dislocated arm against the wall. You should have introduced yourself first. Madara-san, will you introduce me to your companion? Well, I don't even have a name. But you can call me crazy. Naruto clearly saw anomalies with the Psycho's chakra, as did Madara, who scanned the area with his Sharingan. He's like a Biju. I see. If we fight here, we will bring everything down. We'll have to fight more carefully. Meanwhile, the mad shinobi began to freak out from the situation and run amok. Naruto created a clone and ran into close combat while Uchiha came in from the rear. The Psycho's taijutsu was strange, bestial, and it was almost impossible to anticipate attacks. How fun! Have fun, and then the Psycho hit Naruto especially hard, so much so that she flew into the wall, which began to collapse from such actions. The fox! Madara shouted, but he was carried away by the madman into close combat. Don't be distracted by any weaklings, Uchiha, the opponent giggled terribly. I want to fight you. Madara could not get out of the melee in any way and prayed to the sage of the 6 ways that the girl would survive. And the Psycho, still giggling nastily, was fighting a close-range animal fight. In the end, Uchiha was finally angered by this, and he called Susanoo. Yes. Yes. But the Psycho did not have time to rejoice, because a whole block of solid earth fell on him. Well, that's it, you bastard, you made me angry. The place where Naruto was immured, just exploded from the overstrain of the chakra in one place. There was no need to wake up the beast in me, you stupid ghoul. A blue chakra with an admixture of green shone around Uzumaki. Her entire aura radiated only a thirst for a life-and-death battle. No, Uchiha muttered softly, don't, but no one listened to him anymore. The girl completely gave herself up to the battle and beat the Psycho from all sides, generously seasoning with the element of wind. Madara also rushed into battle, and now both were pushing the enemy to the limit of their capabilities. That's it, I'm exhausted. Naruto collapsed to the ground when the enemy was beaten and sealed in a scroll. We have to get out of here, I have a bad feeling. Uzumaki looked suspiciously. Yes, now everything will fall down, she agreed. Yeah, stop. What? Well, quickly upstairs. He dragged Naruto. And so, when there were only a couple of meters left, before getting out, Naruto stumbled and fell down. And Madara noticed it only when he was already outside. Naruto. And this Psycho jumped down after a wayward girl. Before the walls of the huge, collapsed down, Madara summoned Susanoo. Where are these damn lovebirds? The fox swore obscenely, remembering all the relatives of Uzumaki and Uchiha, while Kurama was muttering curses under his breath in the direction of the negligent Jinchuriki. Biju reached a strange and deep ravine. What would they do without me? The fox breathed out, making a hand gesture. But still turned into a huge fox and began to dig. Saint Rikudo, the great Biju, damn you all, am being forced to dig little people to save their miserable lives. He was not even embarrassed by the fact that, in fact, he drips of his own accord, and not by decree. Hey! Damn Sharinganist! And now he's moved to me with this crazy girl. Madara was sitting with his head down in front of Uzumaki. Pain and disappointment splashed in his eyes. The fox stood motionless, realizing that Naruto was showing no signs of life. What did she do? Biju squinted suspiciously in the image of Naruto, but with red eyes and vertical pupils. I do not know. In an instant she was just covered with blue and green chakra. She became insane and, practically, uncontrollable. She didn't hear me and just dully rushed at the enemy head-on. Oh hey, the nine-tailed man grabbed his head, and his shoulders began to shake slowly. Madara understood that he was grieving for Naruto. Uchiha also understands that he is to blame for Uzumaki's death. Ahahaha. Suddenly the strongest of the Biju just burst out laughing. Madara was about to twist at his temple, showing the level of intelligence of the fox, but his voice stopped him. Damn, Ku, I ruined all the raspberries. Naruto grimaced annoyingly. Ahahaha, can't, Naruto. Uchiha, ahahaha. Naruto could not stand it and cancelled the technique, to which the fox sniffed resentfully for a moment, but, nevertheless, sneakily giggling, returned to print. Madara was moving away from this scene. I've always wanted to try a tragedy from movie scenes where something happens to one of the heroes after a fight. Well, or serious wounds during the battle, Uzumaki said quietly, still lying on the ground in front of Uchiha. You mean you planned all this? Here's that fall back in. Well, you already said, Naruto chuckled. Madara looked at her angrily. You at least, and now the plot should follow how one of the main characters shouts at the second that he risked their lives. Naruto interrupted Uchiha. But, Madara, break the pattern. I'm tired of all this, where someone is mortally wounded, where someone loved dies in the arms of the second. Where the main character sneezes the enemy and pretentiously towers over his cold corpse. Naruto looked straight into Uchiha's black eyes, and it was so cold that Madara felt uncomfortable, but still something broke in Uchiha's worldview. And here and now, Uchiha really broke the Uzumaki pattern. Naruto Uzumaki, marry me. Naruto Uzumaki, marry me, Madara said softly, kneeling in front of the lying Naruto. Are you serious now? Yes. And you won't regret it later? No. Are you sure? I'm the carrier of the tailed demon. I'm sure. Tell me the reason. I love you, said Uchiha, firmly looking into the girl's eyes, so much so that she felt a pang of conscience, and she felt ashamed of her mischief, which happened 5 minutes ago. But Naruto, I love you. Madara came closer and took her hands in his. Now Naruto clearly understood that Uchiha was hysterical after what had just happened. I admit that I have never fallen in love in my life, and I had no one, but when I saw in that crater a fragile girl with huge wounds that are not compatible with life. My whole life flew before my eyes, and I felt that you were in such a state because of me. In fact, you were guilty of it. Partly, calmly looked at Uchiha Uzumaki. What? Madara stared dumbfounded, not believing what was said. The fourth shinobi war started because of you, Madara. Now listen to me carefully. Good. You know your history better than me, how you and Hashirama met by the river and before the village was created. Uchiha obediently nodded. Everything was fine until the first head of the village was elected. You began to move away from your friends, kept more and more silent and saw that the villagers were afraid of you. In the end, the Uchiha clan itself turned away from you. Naruto told everything to the end. And about Madara's battle with Hashirama, and about the third war and about the fourth. How the Shinobi Alliance fought Madara and Obito. Not withholding anything. And when she finished speaking, there was a silence that lasted for a very long time. And Madara's voice rang out so unexpectedly that Naruto shuddered. Uchiha looked at the sky. I will understand if you refuse to marry a villain like me. I'll understand if you hate me and turn your back on me. I'll understand everything. Uchiha hid his face in his palms. Gradually, members of the Uchiha clan gathered behind Madara's back. More than half of them heard everything Naruto said, and now they were all looking incredulously at the sunny girl who was calmly sitting with her enemy and not blowing her mustache. They realized that the last straw for Madara would be that his own clan would turn away from him. And then he will become the enemy of the whole shinobi world. Now the Uchiha clan, like no one else, realized that because of their rash decisions, the world could be destroyed in the future. Naruto saw them and understood, but didn't say anything. And the whole clan collapsed in the deepest bow before Madara and Naruto. Madara, seeing how all the members of the clan who were here did not move in a low bow, Naruto continued, "You are no longer the Madara I know in the past. And you haven't done anything wrong yet. You are very different from that Madara." Uzumaki stood up and held out her hand to Uchiha. "So you won't turn away from me? If I haven't done it all this time, am I really going to do it now?" Uzumaki was surprised. "Let's go home, oh great and terrible thunderstorm of all shinobi." Naruto made a face in mock horror. Uchiha happily chuckled. "First, don't let Rikudo, I'll see at least one woman next to you. Yeah, you have 100 dates. Yeah. Stop. What? What women? And 100 dates? Exactly, of course 100. The 101st will be our wedding. And, by the way, if I ever see a woman next to you, any woman, during a date, the countdown will start again. If you and I have 99 dates, and then some woman sticks to you, then the countdown will start again." Naruto. "This is too much. I am possessive, Madara, and I will not tolerate anyone near you. I understand," Madara whispered sullenly, and Uzumaki nevertheless grunted approvingly. "Well, then that's it, let's go home." And the girl began to fall into the side, losing consciousness. Uchiha barely managed to catch her. "What the hell?" he said softly and, taking the peacefully sleeping girl in his arms, together with the others went to Konoha. They walked for a long time, but Naruto did not wake up. She was like in a coma. The ninja medic who was here, who knows at least a little bit about medicine, unlike others, said that the girl has a very strong depletion of chakra canals and the body as a whole. Madara realized that she just overdid it in a fight with enemies. Damn Uzumaki, once again spitting on everything, he went into her tent and lay down next to the girl. Uchiha Madara always slept next to Uzumaki at night. And in general, he was almost always there. At every opportunity, he kissed the top of her head and asked her to come back to him faster, because otherwise he would just go crazy. But she did not submit. There are no signs that would help Uchiha understand that Naruto will wake up soon. A week later, the Uchiha company returned to the village, and the first thing Madara did was, "Hashirama, wooden canvas, get your fake ass here." Madara shouted this phrase as soon as he entered the village gate. "And what is immediately fake?" Puffing out his cheeks, Shodai still showed up. "Oh, I'm sorry, it's Oak. Hurry up, help her." Uchiha barked, laying the girl on the bed. Senju began to examine Naruto. "She's all right." "Well, almost. He'll come out of his coma in a day or two. You cannot forcibly withdraw it, the circulation of the chakra will be interrupted, and it will stop recovering. Phew, thank Kami." The head of the Uchiha clan finally exhaled calmly. Did something happen there?" Hashirama stared suspiciously at his friend. He jerked and turned away. "It's all right, you don't have to worry. By the way, while you were having fun there, Tobirama found out Izuna's secret," Senju said nervously, as if by the way. "What?" "By the way, while you were having fun there, Tobirama found out Izuna's secret," Senju said nervously, as if by the way. "What?" Hashirama shrugged guiltily and started backing away. "You should have been watching your brother. I think he's glad he found out," a sleepy voice croaked happily. "What do you mean?" Madara was confused, and then turned his head to the source of the sound. "Naruto? Are you awake?" Madara was confused. "Aren't you glad?" The voice was trembling and hoarse, but still the girl jokingly smiled. "So you knew that too?" Hashirama immediately interjected. "What kind of girl is Izuna, but how?" Madara was confused and looked at the girl with a lost look. And this is a secret, Naruto grinned, but added, yes, somehow I didn't think she was a guy. And I once overheard Tobiramachick. And what fun did you learn? Her best friends and mighty shinobi stared at her suspiciously. He was a little drunk then, Uzumaki said innocently, and said just one sentence. Madara and Hashirama have already come close to the girl and stared with all their eyes, afraid of missing something. Am I gay? Kami-sama, why is he? Naruto said very softly. Ahem, am I bothering you here? Suddenly, all three jumped in surprise and, seeing Tobirama, were also confused. No, of course not. Naruto began, and then ominously began. I've decided to get married here, so I'm torturing these mighty shinobi for the subject of my love. Madara choked on air. Hashirama barely restrained a decent face. What do you say? Does Izuna-kun like me? Specifically highlighting the latter, Naruto stared at Tobirama with all her eyes. How should I know? Senju Jr. was confused and even blushed. But Madara doesn't want to tell me anything about her brother. Uzumaki stared indignantly at Uchiha, and then switched to Hashirama, and this piece of wood doesn't know anything about him at all. How I love this Uchiha. Uzumaki rolled her eyes dreamily, to which Madara narrowed his eyes suspiciously, but it seems that Uzumaki's plan also began to reach him and stared at her indignantly. You were hit on the head on a mission, right? Tobirama could not stand it, looking at the rapidly changing Kunoichi. What? Oh, yes, Madara, while he was carrying me, carried me through the tree 7 times, dropped me 3 times, but, thank Kami, he managed to catch me. But what? Uzumaki asked innocently, making honest eyes. Hashirama grunted softly with laughter, and Madara turned purple, but not from anger, but from shame. Meanwhile, Naruto opened the window and shouted in her broken voice. Izuna. She closed the window and imperceptibly sealed it on Fuin. Hashi and Dar stared suspiciously at Uzumaki's actions. She also covered the floor and walls and ceiling with Fuin, too. And, it seems, Tobirama does not feel them, otherwise why would Naruto show the silence sign? Exactly 2 minutes later Izuna bursts into the room and Naruto runs into the arms of Uchiha. I missed you. You know, I wanted to confess my love here. Hashirama and Madara realized that it was time to leave, and they slowly moved to the door. Tobirama froze all red. And when Senju the Elder and Uchiha the Elder disappeared behind the door, Uzumaki pushed Izuna onto Tobirama and also flew out the door, sealing him with a monolithic Fuin. The seals were difficult for her, because she recently came out of a coma. Tired, she leaned back against the wall and closed her eyes. She was so damn sleepy. You shouldn't have used the chakra, Madara said softly and pressed the girl to him. I've been dreaming of sealing them like this for a long time, Uzumaki chuckled. I hope they don't kill each other, Hashirama said thoughtfully. They love each other too much for that, Uchiha kissed. You're right. You know, but it was our 100th kiss. Uzumaki looked at him attentively and with all seriousness. Where are you from? Even though I was in a coma, but I heard everything clearly and felt everything around me. She drawled the words mockingly and stared curiously at her fiancé. And don't be angry. Get ready for the wedding, now you won't get rid of me, Honorable Madara of the great Uchiha clan, Naruto said brazenly and turned up her nose. Am I bothering you? And when did you, by the way, manage to get closer? The head of the village stared thoughtfully. By the way, how long will these two be sealed up there? 24 hours exactly. But they can do it earlier if they sleep together. That is, you got it right, Hashirama. Naruto's mood was so good that she wanted to do such crazy things. What did you call him, and what? Do you want one too? Matterchick, no, fire me. The pest. Meanwhile, Uchiha Izuna and Senju Tobirama stood motionless in the sealed room. Izuna is shocked by Uzumaki's setup, and Tobirama was just in frustration now, not knowing how to behave, because he accidentally found out that his opponent is actually a rival. Well? Why are you frozen? Let's get out or something, Izuna said as usual, not suspecting that her secret had already been revealed. Uchiha, why did you hide it? Hiding what? She turned around in bewilderment. That you're not a guy. Why? Izuna involuntarily held her breath, and her heart skipped a beat. She couldn't figure out where she could have made such a mistake that Tobirama found out her secret. Only members of the Uchiha clan knew this. No one would admit this to anyone, especially to Senju representatives. Who told you? I guessed it. I've had a lot of time to analyze you. And a couple of days ago, after comparing all the facts, I put together a big picture about you. Damn smart guy, she chuckled and turned towards the door. But halfway through I noticed that the whole room is equipped with Fuin barriers. Damn Uzumaki. Uchiha grinned again. What happened? We were locked up here, Uchiha said calmly. Not a single muscle twitched on Izuna's face, and there are only two ways out. I don't like it in advance. Tobirama crossed his arms. The first option, we will have to sit here until the seals fall off. And when they fall off, I don't know, Naruto could put any range. And the second one, didn't you notice? The smell comes from the walls. Senju shuddered, and finally realized what was bothering him. The room with the big bed was filled with a charming light aroma of aphrodisiac. And why him? Yes, because he already felt how slowly this very desire was taking hold of him, awakening natural instincts in him. Damn Uzumaki. He clenched his teeth and convulsively clenched his hands. Do you hate me that much? Izuna asked. No, that's not the point. I really like you. Then. Naruto did not let her friends hear what the girl wanted to say, and briskly kicked Madara and Hashirama towards the exit. Stop eavesdropping. Go get ready for the wedding. And yes, Madara, God forbid I will see at least one woman next to you. That was the end of the funny story. Although, of course, this is not true. After all, they did not die and did not disperse. It's just that their future fate is a completely different story.